If you end up in heck, you're a bad person definitively because God said so. It literally doesn't matter what you think. So, Lord is the greatest argument for God's existence because, hail, I hope that you are having a wonderful Sunday or Saturday whenever this video is getting posted. But, you know, I've been on the internet for a long time and I've heard arguments about God's existence and how that works. And I've heard Michael Knowles take on the ontological reasoning as to how God exists. You know, the unmoved mover has to be there. And I hear a lot of conversation as to how is there proof that God exists, or how is there evidence that God exists, and then people try to explain it away, and I always think that they're kind of weak. I'm gonna keep it up front. I think every argument that people typically give are all weak as to how God exists. I think the argument of, oh, I've experienced things, I think that is weak. I think the ontological explanation for how God exists is weak. I think they're all weak arguments. So I'm going to give my argument, which I think is much stronger than all of the other arguments. I think it is. So tell me what you guys are thinking down below after you've heard my thoughts. Anywho, let us dive into it. Fear. That is something that I bring up as to my belief in God. Fear. Fear is the entire thing as to how I believe God exists. And I think it is the strongest argument because it's not an irrational fear. It is a logical fear. The fear of being thrown into heck. And why do I think that fear is the strongest argument? Well, because the argument, I once heard a comedian, oddly enough, I was watching a Michael Knowles video going over Christian comedians, but I was listening to the one comedian, you know, I'll actually play the clip.
A sneeze started this entire situation off, okay? I'm standing next to this guy. He turns towards me and he sneezes like this. He goes, "Fuh!" I looked at him and I went, God bless you. Guy looks at me and very condescending, he goes, yeah, I'm an atheist. I'm trying to be polite. I don't know you're an atheist, right? And even if I did, what am I supposed to say when an atheist sneezes? When you die, nothing happens. He goes, well, what about you? What did you grow up? I said, well, I was raised Catholic. What do you believe happens to you after you die? And I said, okay, well, hopefully I live a good life and my soul goes to heaven. He's giggling. He's like, you believe this? This is what... So he's laughing at my beliefs, and finally I just snap back, what about you? Okay, what about you, all right? What happens to you after you die? Now he gets very serious, like he's gonna school me, okay? I know what's going to happen to me after I die. After I pass on, my body will become one with this earth. And with that, I will return as a huge, beautiful tree. I hope when he dies, he does become a tree. And wouldn't it be fantastic if while he was out there just enjoying his treeness, through the woods a huge sweaty guy with an axe comes along, sees him, chops him down, smash, put a chain around him, drag him through the mud and the muck, throw him into a sawmill, grind him up, then you pound him down into paper, and once he's paper, you print the Bible on him.
Okay, I bring up Dane Cook's joke here specifically to bring up the idea of being dead. The atheist idea is that if you die, nothing happens. But the Christian belief is if you die, something happens. So if you're an atheist and you die, let's say me and an atheist had an argument. We were talking about the belief of God, and he said God isn't real, and I said God is real. If he dies and I die, and he's right, we won't know he was right, because we'll just be gone. We won't know he was right. We won't know I was wrong. But if I'm right, that God does in fact exist, then that means he's gonna 1, know he was wrong, and 2, know I was right. Because he will know I was right, because he's not gonna be gone eternally, he'll be in heck. Because he's an atheist, he's a non-believer. That is the one unforgivable sin. So, that's why I think every atheist is a stupid person, because they are not logical. The fear of being thrown into heck isn't irrational. That is a completely logical thing to be fearing. Completely logical. What is an atheist gonna say? Oh, you're afraid you're gonna be burning forever? Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm afraid of burning forever. Like, oh, you're telling me you're not afraid of that? One of us is rational, the other one is not. That is why fear is the strongest argument for God's existence, because I am to fear God more than I fear sin, because fearing God is that if I am not a good person by his terms, then I'm going to heck. The whole entire thing about heck is that if you end up there, you are a bad person. It literally doesn't matter what you think. You could be an atheist, you could be a Christian, you could be a Jew, you could be a Muslim, you could be any of those things. If you end up in heck, you're a bad person definitively, because God said so. It literally doesn't matter what you think. So, fear of the Lord is the greatest argument for God's existence, because if I don't fear the Lord, I am 100% ending up in heck. And if I end up in heck, I am 100% a bad person. I don't want to be a bad person. Nobody wants to be a bad person. Stupid people are bad people because they're stupid people. If you weren't stupid, maybe you could have had the idea to not be a bad person, but they're stupid. And go figure, it is even stated in the Bible as to who you should fear more than anything. And Jesus says it perfectly in Luke 12:4. Whom to fear? I tell you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who end the body and after that can do no more, but I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after your body has been gotten rid of, has authority to throw you into heck. Yes, I tell you, fear him. You are to fear God more than you fear sin. And the reason is because if you're not a good person by his definition, you're a bad person. Definitively, because he has the authority to say so. It literally doesn't matter what you think. That is the strongest argument for God, is that you're meant to fear him. Because if you don't, every atheist is not only stupid, but they're bad at gambling, because they're going for a zero sum of winning. Their belief is either one, they pass away and they don't know it because they're gone, or the other option is they end up in heck and know they were wrong and they're burning for all of eternity. One of these things is stupid, one of these things is not. And I'm gonna be honest, it's the Christians that are not being stupid. The Christians that are actually following the word, that is, and actually going forth with it. The Christians who are not doing it, they're just, oh, I'm a Christian just because they think they are and they don't know what it means. Yeah, those people are also stupid because, as it states, many will come to me on that day, and so on and so forth in Matthew. But fear is the strongest argument for how God exists. Because let's say God doesn't exist, and you pass away, you won't know that God doesn't exist or did exist because you'll just be gone. But if God does exist and you're wrong about not believing in him, then 1, you're gonna know you are wrong, and 2, you're gonna be burning because you cannot be an unbeliever. That's an unforgivable sin. Blasphemy of the Lord. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. So, it is the strongest argument for why God exists, because it's a fear. It's not an irrational fear, like a phobia. Well, like, what are you saying? Oh, you have a fire phobia? Yeah, I do. I have a fire phobia. I don't want to feel it. Thank you. Fearing going into heck is not irrational. It's very rational. In fact, it is completely logical. There is no better argument for why God exists other than this. And the other thing is, let's say God doesn't exist for happenstance. Let's say he doesn't exist. Point to one thing in the Bible that is bad for humanity. Point one thing out. One thing. You can't. You can't, because it's all good. So, the strongest argument for God's existence is fear. It is fear. And let's say you're just someone who is extremely, extremely stubborn. Point to one thing in the Bible that is bad for society. Point out one thing. One thing. Oh wait, sorry. If you're an atheist, your entire ideology is everything is subjective. So you can't even point to anything that is bad because you don't believe it's bad because it might be good for someone else, so it's subjective. You can't even prove why the Bible is bad because you don't even believe in definitive bad and good. Atheists are stupid. I guess that's the main point of the story. However, bring this all together, fear is the strongest argument for God's existence. I fear God because if I don't, I'm either 1, going to be categorized as a... No, sorry, not only... It's not like it's only one, but no, it's both. I'm gonna be a bad person and end up in heck. It's completely rational to fear God. It's completely rational. There's nothing irrational about fearing being thrown into eternal fire. There's literally no argument that can destroy this one. Because what's the argument gonna be? What is it? I genuinely don't know. Are they gonna claim that it's not rational to fear burning in heck? That's stupid. Yeah, I think that's that's what kind of where I want to leave this off, because it is the strongest argument in my thoughts. Tell me down below, do you think that there's a stronger argument for why God exists? And as I stated earlier, I think every other argument that I hear from people about why God exists is weak. I think they're all weak. I think this is the only acceptable one. The only acceptable one, because the ontological reasoning, sure, that works, but the question is there a mover that came before God with ontological reasoning? It is undetermined with that reasoning. With the reasoning of fear, what else is there to fear that is going to be higher than burning for all of eternity? There's literally nothing of a greater fear than that. There's no fear greater than that. And if there is, well, I don't know where it is. Plain and simple, I don't know where it is. So, yeah, okay. I'm gonna end this off now before I continue talking with a tangent or whatever. But, yeah. Tell me what you're thinking down below. Hit the subscribe button, do that. The like button if you thought this was a good thought structure that I had going on here with how fear is the strongest argument. But yeah, I hope to see you when the next video is uploaded, be it Monday or probably Monday. But yeah, I hope to see you then. But until then, have a good one.